It is Indiana in the Morning, presented by First Commonwealth Bank here on the Voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160. And our conversation coming up now with the people who are behind the virtual meeting for the Murphy Building lot in Blairsville, brought to you by our friends at Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. On the phone line with me right now, through Zoom chat, I should say, Josh Krug, Dave Janusek, Dan Kelly, and Molly Sarver. Hello, everyone. How are you all doing?
Hello, Josh.
Morning, Josh.
Hi.
Well,
thank you for having us on.
All right, so let's start off here. Everybody kind of joined in all at once there. So let's start with Josh Krug. Josh, this has been going on for a while now, these meetings that have been set up, and this is now the third meeting, as we mentioned?
Yeah, Josh, this is the third public meeting. Now, we've had probably almost 15 or 20 meetings as a collective group, trying to put this project together and trying to, carry out the entire planning process. But this is the third meeting of the public, and we're hoping that we can really take it to the next level and come out of this meeting with some preliminary designs for the short-term and long-term vision of the lot.
So right now we've actually kind of had these two other public hearings, and I guess ideas, and anybody can jump in on this, I guess things have kind of narrowed down meeting by meeting as to what people want to see done with this area.
Yeah, I'll let Molly handle that question.
Molly?
Yeah, so in the first survey, we tried to get a more holistic vision of what people were thinking about using the lot for. And pretty overwhelmingly, I'd say the results pointed to keeping it a green space, at least for the foreseeable future. And this was, I think, a combination of people recognizing we already have some commercial buildings that exist in the downtown. We have a reasonable amount of housing stock. But there aren't many places for people to go and sit. There's a lot of different ideas of what that green space could be used for, both in the short term and the long term. So we're focusing on the vision as being a green space. But in this current survey, we're trying to narrow down what people would like to use that green space for. And a green space isn't just a place where you have flowers. It can be a place where you can go and sit to eat. It can be a place for recreation. It can be something that serves as a stormwater garden. So trying to see what that vision would be, so that way we can start making plans for it. That's very important to try and make sure that we're representing what the public wants this space to be used for.
Now, that space, of course, was taken up for many years by the G.C. Murphy Building. Dave, I'll turn to you on this. You're a member of Blairsville Borough Council, so you know a little bit about the building's recent history, about it being condemned several years ago and just being a danger to the community.
It was, Josh, and that's one thing, that you hate to see buildings torn down because that's not development in a progressive sort of a manner. So when you look at something that to rise out of it, almost a phoenix, to make that lot something else now, to make it a green place, to make it, as Molly said, how do we make this a place that works for, as many people as we can in our community and in Indiana County? Now, I know that we don't want to see any of the other buildings that are getting closer to becoming a green space in Blairsville. So we want to hope that in an integral kind of a way, this place may help to save some of those buildings by bringing more people downtown, seeing more what Blairsville has to offer. So we really want to see that green place become a solution for a lot of things that a lot of small towns in America have suffered through, whether it be economic downturn, whether it be a bypass from a major highway. I think that this group, I speak for, really believes that we may be onto something here to create a place where people want to come from both Blairsville and outside to see what downtown Blairsville really has to offer, whether that's a grandmother and her grandchildren, whether that's a developer, or whether that's somebody just wants a clean place to sit and have a sandwich.
All right. Dan, we'll go to you now. I don't believe you and I have met on this issue yet, so maybe you can tell us your involvement in these meetings and in the project itself.
Sure. Thank you. This began as the BCDA, Blairsville Community Development Authority, was the owners of the lot. And some of us thought that rather than use a solution from a small group of people, that we would broaden the spectrum and look for a broader solution from the community itself. From that, we were able to partner with our good friends at Indiana County, and we have been working through this process to come up with a solution. I think not only is the data that we're getting from this particular project good for the project, but it also gives a perspective on how the public perceives other issues in the community, and also defects in how they perceive that we can develop someone else's property. We don't want to impact on any property owners. So this solution will help us plan for how we interact with owners of other properties that may be in a deficient condition. So, we're really looking forward to completing this survey and results and moving forward into the future. Even though 2020 has been somewhat of a suboptimal year, I think our momentum in Blairsville is growing for positive things in 2021.
I'll throw this open to anyone who wants it. As I understand, there have been some surveys also conducted in connection with these meetings. So it sounds like you've been getting a strong response from the community, no matter whether they've been taking part in the public hearings or they've been taking part via the surveys.
Yeah, Josh, I'm happy to answer that. We have had actually, by way of the surveys, probably over 50 different people involved by way of answering the first two surveys. And, we've been really excited with the results that we've been getting. As Dan mentioned, in our first survey, we asked a little bit more even broad questions about the community and the quality of life and, kind of where the community's at, where people see it, where they would like to see the community as a future, the things that they appreciate about Blairsville, and some of the things that they'd like to see improved. And we used that to develop the second survey and to kind of hone in on, again, as Molly had mentioned, what the lot should ultimately look like. And we're getting help from all sorts of folks that we couldn't have even expected prior. One of the folks, Sarah Marshall, who's been involved in our group, she doesn't even live in Indiana, but of course, or in Blairsville, or in Indiana County for that matter right now, but her family does and has a stake in Blairsville, and she has, an interest, a vested interest in the community as well, and she has been providing us with drawings and renderings for preliminary designs, and we hope to keep including her. So there's been a lot of different networking that has happened and community development opportunities that could come from this planning process.
So let's talk about how these meetings have actually gone. I mean, they've been held on Zoom video chat, and this is going to be the third hearing, and it will once again be held on Zoom. So I'm assuming that people can still be able to join in and chime in with their own ideas on these issues. I'll throw that one to Molly.
Yes, that is true. So usually we start off our meeting with a presentation of our current progress. Just, we don't go in assuming that everyone that is in that meeting has been a part of the full process. So we do spend the first portion going over the results of our previous surveys and a summary of the progress we made from our last meeting. Mm-hmm. Then towards the end, we leave it open for public discourse. So that's where people can make comments, ask us questions. In our last meeting, that's whenever Sarah Marshall's presentation was given to us. So, there is room for ideas there. We really appreciate it when people fill out the survey, so that way we also have their ideas, documented in a more constructive way. But, sometimes it's really best to just get your thoughts out in person. So, we really appreciate people's input there. And even if they just want to listen in, so that way they're aware of the process and included, the meetings can be entertaining. So we really encourage you to join.
Dave and Dan, being representatives of the Blairsville community through the Borough Council and the BCDA, talk about seeing this process through now getting close to what may be the end of at least this phase of it, and getting ready to either put shovels to dirt or whatever, or flowers to the ground, whatever needs to be done. Talk about it. I'm sure it's exciting for both organizations.
It is, and I'll take that kind of first, and I'll turn it over to Dan. And I think, what we've seen through this process is, believe it or not, and, Dan had called it, I guess, 2020 is what it is. We've seen a lot of positive feedback from a lot of people, that sure, we all kind of know Blairsville needs a supermarket in the downtown. That would be fantastic. This lot will not be that supermarket, but will it help to attract a supermarket? We would hope to think that maybe it will in the future. So it's been through this process, as this partnership with the pros at Indiana County Development and Planning and Development Office. They've kind of we've hooked our horse to their wagon, and they've showed us, where to get to so we can get something that's together rather than just a bunch of ideas thrown into a pot and nothing happens. So it's been a very exciting process. It's been very good to see a lot of the very positive feedback. And it's, I think, in the end, as Dan mentioned, I think with the larger scope of the process, I think we'll also see Blairsville benefit from both this project and a lot of the information that's come out of the process.
Yes, I would see this as kind of phase one in the total part of this project. Once we have some hard data that we can present to people, then you move on to where do you find the funding to move ahead. Naturally, anything that would be done on the lot would be of an impermanent nature due to the deed restrictions. So I would think that moving ahead, we'll look for sources of funding to see what we can do with the solutions that the public provides us.
We're just about out of time, but we want to let people know about how they can get involved. So I'll turn it back over to Josh. How can people get involved join in this session, whether they just want to listen in or make a contribution to the meeting?
Sure. The easiest way that I can direct people is you can go to icopd.org, and under our current projects, there's an actual entire page for the Murphy Lot project. There's a link to the meeting there. Or on Facebook, you can search Murphy Lot, Blairsville Murphy Lot, and it'll come up there as a group in Facebook, and all the information related to the project, as well as a link back to that ICOPD webpage. So there's a lot out there. There's been press releases, et cetera, but I would say that's the easiest way to access it currently is by way of the Facebook or the website. And the meeting is going to be at 7:30 on Wednesday the 9th. This Wednesday, just a couple days from now, it'll be at 7:30 p.m., and it's open to the public. And you can access it by Zoom or by calling in using the Zoom number as well.
All right. Well, Josh, Dave, Dan, Molly, thank you all very much for joining us this morning here on Indiana in the Morning. And we're glad we're able to link into the Zoom audio chat with you guys. Thanks again for joining us. I hope the meeting's a big success.
Thanks so much, Josh.
Thank you.
All right. That is once again Dave Janusek, Josh Krug, Dan Kelly, Molly Sarver, all talking about the Murphy building lot in Blairsville and the upcoming virtual public hearing for it. Our interviews are presented by First Commonwealth Bank, a law firm representing injured people. And this has been Indiana in the Morning.